Picture yourself in the velvet hush of a grand movie palace sometime around 1947. The chandelier dims, the heavy curtain slides back, and a vast silver rectangle bursts into life. Across those shimmering inches drifted romances that shaped fashions, fed gossip columns, and persuaded many a youngster that happiness was sealed with a ring. Yet a surprising number of the most luminous names from that glittering age never did step onto an aisle strewn with orange blossoms. Some clung to privacy, some feared entanglement, some concealed loves that the times refused to tolerate, and a few were simply too wedded to their craft to risk any rival. Tonight, for 20 minutes and exactly 3,000 carefully chosen words, we remember 25 remarkable figures whose stories prove that a life can be whole even without wedding vows. Settle back, let the projector whir, and meet our gallery of Hollywood's celebrated singletons. Greta Garbo, born Greta Gustafsson in Stockholm, reached Hollywood in 1925, and within 3 years, MGM billed her by one surname alone. On screen, she melted into doomed romances, yet in life, she guarded solitude like a crown jewel. She slipped out of parties through kitchens, ignored telephones, and once hid in a lavatory to dodge co-star John Gilbert's proposal. Her famous misquote, "I want to be alone," was really "let alone," a small but telling difference. After retiring at 36, she wandered Manhattan anonymously, buying bread and tulips, proving that mystery, not matrimony, remained the companion she preferred. Howard Hughes, Texas-born heir, producer, and aviator, behaved like a leading man and mad scientist combined. He set speed records, dated Katharine Hepburn, and redesigned brasiers for Jane Russell, yet treated marriage like an unfavorable tax code. When Ginger Rogers' mother pressed him, he silenced her with a signed blank check. He bought RKO Pictures in 1948, then let the studio languish while he obsessed over germs. Later, he hid in screening rooms, lining peas with calipers and storing tissues in shoes. Surrounded by blueprints, milk bottles, and locked doors, Hughes showed a life can brim with spectacle, yet leave no place for wedding rings. Born in Indianapolis in 1889, Clifton Webb danced on Broadway before films beckoned, and his patented poise later set Hollywood's template for elegant villainy. Off-screen, he shared a Beverly Hills mansion with his adored mother Mabel, who pressed his trousers and screened callers. Suitors might reach the dining room, yet seldom the front gate. Studios called him a confirmed bachelor, polite shorthand for gay in an intolerant era, and Webb declined to elaborate. When Mabel died, he murmured, "I'm coming, Mother," and retreated from the spotlight, convinced starched collars and applause met every emotional requirement. His career, spanning The Dark Corner, Cheaper by the Dozen, and a late return to Broadway, reminded audiences that wit and posture could compete with youthful brawn. Born in Ohio in 1900, Agnes Moorehead credited her preacher father with teaching vocal discipline, a skill that made every syllable sting or soothe at will. After mastering Shakespeare with Orson Welles' Mercury Players, she collected 4 Oscar nominations, long before television audiences met her as Endora. For 40 years, she shared a California ranch with dancer Eleanor Scott, raising an adopted son and serving lemon cake to guests from Bette Davis to biblical scholars. Reporters seeking wedding news met a serene smile. "I already possess devotion." Faith, philanthropy, and scripts brimming with challenge left no room, she felt, for legal ceremony. Ramón Novarro, born José Ramón Samaniego in Durango, Mexico, soared to stardom, steering the chariot in 1925's Ben-Hur. NGM promoted him as the smoldering Latin lover, yet faith and desire pulled in opposite directions. Nightly he whispered regrets to priests, fearing any revelation of male companions would end his livelihood. When talking pictures changed fashions, Novarro tended roses at a modest Laurel Canyon cottage and sang hymns for neighbors. In 1968, 2 burglars, lured by gossip of hidden wealth, beat him to death. The tragedy still warns how secrecy, intolerance, and greed can converge with terrible consequence. Listeners may recall his singing turn in The Pagan, where tropical vistas masked a solitary heart. Patsy Kelly, Brooklyn-born bundle of brass, volleyed wisecracks beside Thelma Todd in Hal Roach shorts such as Going Spanish. She favored fast cars, louder laughter, and lifelong partner Wilma Cox, a dancer met on a touring revue. When the production code's moral curtain fell in 1934, her on-screen opportunities dried up. Kelly simply marched to Broadway, stole scenes, and in 1971 pocketed a Tony. "I'd rather be interesting than innocent," she informed one columnist, pouring him rye. Monthly card parties at her sunlit cottage proved licenses optional. Friendship, bourbon, and freedom were prize enough. On radio programs, she could switch accents mid-sentence, a trick learned while calming restless vaudeville audiences stranded by snowbound trains. Edward Everett Horton, master of fluttering befuddlement in Astaire and Rogers pictures, was born in 1886 and survived cinema's every reinvention. From silent shorts to Technicolor to narrating fractured fairy tales, he provided genial panic that made leads shine brighter. His pink stucco Beverly Hills home offered Sunday pool brunches where closeted artists relaxed over martinis and Hawaiian tunes. Horton shared quiet decades with fellow actor Gavin Gordon. Press agents knew better than to ask details. When a reporter ventured, "Why no wife?" Horton chuckled, "Why tie myself to one script when I can understudy them all?" Light comedy, he proved, may mask steady courage. Montgomery Clift, Omaha-born herald of method acting, electrified audiences in Red River and From Here to Eternity. He loved across gender lines, but trusted no confessional, calling himself a walking Freudian slip. A 1956 car crash left his face pieced together with wire and lingering anguish. Friend Elizabeth Taylor guarded his privacy and paid medical bills, yet pills and bourbon dulled the ache. Producers deemed him uninsurable, though his torn-open performances stayed incandescent. Asked about matrimony, he replied, "I can't guarantee tomorrow. Why mortgage another soul?" He died at 45, scripts and doubts scattered beside the bed. Film students still analyze the fragile pauses he delivered in Judgment at Nuremberg, filmed when painkillers scarcely dulled constant migraines. César Romero, 6'3" embodiment of Latin charm, first fenced as the Cisco Kid, later cackled as television's Joker. Born in New York to Cuban lineage, he glided through foxtrots with Lucille Ball, yet quipped he was allergic to rice at weddings. Reporters pressed about rumor mill romances with Tyrone Power. Romero just adjusted a cuff and smiled. He refused to shave his trademark mustache for clown makeup, letting white grease paint coat every whisker, symbolic defiance against erasure. Fans of Saturday morning reruns fondly note how he refused dubbing, allowing his genial Cuban lilt to glide through Gotham's painted chaos. Well into his 80s, he kept dancing at charity balls, insisting that constant motion left no time for vows. Barbara Stanwyck clawed from Brooklyn orphanages to top box office lists with Stella Dallas and Double Indemnity. A short teenage marriage convinced her contracts outlast kisses. She adopted a son alone, negotiated salaries without agents, and performed her own horseback stunts. Crew members called her Missy, never Mrs. Asked by Hedda Hopper if she'd remarry, Stanwyck replied, "I need no man to read the small print." Behind the brusque exterior lay steady kindness. Newcomers often found butterscotch and practical advice inside her dressing room. She later conquered the small screen in the Big Valley, riding tall at an age when many contemporaries retired. Audiences esteemed that iron grit every bit as much as her earlier femme fatale sparkle. Tallulah Bankhead, Alabama drawl and all, conquered West End stages, Congress hearings, and Hollywood's lifeboat. Her 3-year marriage to actor John Emery she dismissed as a coma with paperwork. Afterward, lovers arrived in every shape: artists, debutantes, servicemen on leave. "My heart," she proclaimed, "is a bargain counter. Everything must go." She toured war zones draped in a boa, swapping jokes for morale. Visitors to her New York suite recalled parakeets fluttering above scripts stacked beneath ashtrays, a charming chaos she greeted with one husky, universal darling for bellhop and bishop alike. In television's early days, she rasped, cigarette aloft, "Love me, darlings, but don't fence me in." Fences, meaning weddings, never fit her restless choreography. George Sanders, satin-voiced cynic of Rebecca and All About Eve, labeled marriage a tedious pastime for unimaginative souls, yet entered the ceremony 4 times. The experiments ended swiftly. Boredom, he maintained, arrives faster than bliss. Between pictures, he wrote Memoirs of a Professional Cad, extolling laziness and dry martinis. At a Spanish coastal retreat, he penned melancholy verse, fed stray cats, and listened to distant church bells with evident disdain. He later lent that velvet baritone to Shere Khan in Disney's 1967 Jungle Book, enchanting grandchildren who never glimpsed his sardonic grin. His final note read, "I am leaving because I am bored," the last unsmiling review from an actor who never pretended enthusiasm he did not feel. Dorothy Arzner, the only woman directing A-list studio films in the 1930s, began as a Paramount cutter, then invented the boom microphone so actors could move freely. She guided Clara Bow, Rosalind Russell, and a young Katharine Hepburn without raising her voice. At home, she shared 4 decades with choreographer Marion Morgan, presiding over brunches where philosophers, starlets, and greyhounds mingled. Reporters wondered about marriage. Arzner replied, "Angles matter more than altars." Modern critics cite her overlooked drama, Dance Girl Dance, as an early challenge to the male gaze, filmed decades before classrooms coined the phrase. 17 features later, she left Hollywood, still wearing cufflinks, and left doors ajar for the women who followed. William Haines, in 1930, ranked Hollywood's #1 moneymaker, but MGM's Louis B. Mayer demanded he leave partner Jimmy Shields and wed a woman. Haines refused. "I'd rather have Jimmy than a job." The studio fired him, so the pair launched an interior design firm whose mirrored consoles and airy patios defined Hollywood Regency style. Clients included Joan Crawford and the Reagans. Evenings ended with poker and laughter on the beach. His interiors blended bamboo with French antiques, inspiring magazine spreads that still circulate today, though few readers realize the decorator once outsold Clark Gable at the box office. Together 50 years, they outlasted almost every screen romance. "I quit acting," Haines joked, but kept the happy ending. Gloria Swanson, queen of silent epics like Sadie Thompson. Mastered reinvention better than any publicist. She walked down the aisle 6 times, yet claimed real loyalty lay with herself. After her final divorce, she launched a health food empire and declined Howard Hughes's offer of matrimony, saying she preferred menus she chose. Billy Wilder recruited her for Sunset Boulevard. Swanson corrected fans, "It's not a comeback, merely a visit." She even hosted early television chat programs, pausing interviews to teach viewers breathing exercises she believed essential to vitality. In later years, she lectured on ecology in jeweled turbans, announcing, "I'm ready for my close-up of the planet." Marriage, she implied, was only one costume among many, and hardly her favorite. Cary Grant, born Archie Leach in Bristol, built suave perfection, so convincing, even he chased it. 5 marriages proved short. Lasting comfort appeared in friendships with Randolph Scott, costume designer Ori Kelly, and finally, his daughter Jennifer. "Everybody wants to be Cary Grant," he mused. "So do I." Leaving acting in 1966, he joined Fabergé's board, traveled lightly, and fielded college lectures with self-deprecating wit. Routine, he learned, delivered steadier satisfaction than ritual vows. Late in life, he toured with a one-man Q&A show, demonstrating that charisma, like port, only deepens its bouquet with years. For a man who could cross the screen in a single graceful stride, permanent partnership remained the one role he never quite rehearsed. Marlene Dietrich, Berlin-born enchantress of tuxedos and eyelashes, seduced audiences in Morocco, and later sang to Allied troops at the front. Still legally married to director Rudolf Sieber, she conducted affairs across continents, explaining, "I am my own husband." Gender boundaries blurred whenever she lit a cigarette. Her daughter recounted that even grocery lists were penned in immaculate fountain pen script, each line ending with a flourish. Allied generals credited her gravel-tinged lullabies with reviving frozen troops during the Battle of the Bulge. In a Paris apartment, she spent retirement telephoning friends, refusing photographs, suitcases packed for emergencies of boredom. Her true devotions were glamour, autonomy, and whatever cause let her defy yesterday's rules, not a ring. Katharine Hepburn arrived at RKO in 1932 wearing trousers and certainty. 4 Oscars accumulated, stored next to golf clubs. Her profound bond with Spencer Tracy lasted 26 years. His faith forbade divorce, and she asked no vows. "If you obey all the rules," she shrugged, "you miss all the fun." Between pictures, she gardened, piloted seaplanes, and swam nude off Connecticut rocks. Neighbors spotted her pedaling a rusty bicycle to the post office. Gardening gloves tucked in her belt, she told reporters, "Curiosity weighs more than jewels, so carry it proudly." When reporters suggested matrimony, Hepburn smiled. "I'm not the domestic type. Why decorate a cage?" Audacity, not ceremony, suited her frame. Anna May Wong, first Chinese-American movie star, transcended stereotypes in Shanghai Express and European art films. Hollywood's miscegenation rules barred her from romantic leads opposite white actors, and even cost her the good earth. She answered by mastering French, hobnobbing with Paris designers, and performing cabaret in Berlin. Away from cameras, she collected Bauhaus chairs and brewed jasmine tea for reporters, who marveled at serenity forged under constant prejudice. "Love passes me by," she later sighed, "but work takes my hand." Returning home, she hosted television anthologies until a 1961 heart attack. A bridal veil never materialized, yet her legacy still guides every Asian performer who follows her footsteps across sound stages.